This is Walt Disney World Today. Give us 5 minutes and we'll give you the world.
It's Wednesday, September 6th, 2006, and this is episode number 149 of Walt Disney World Today. I'm Matt Hochberger from mgmstudios.org. On the show today is Mike Newell of MouseWorldRadio.com. Welcome, Mr. Newell.
Good evening, Matthew.
And we have Mr. Mike Scopa of MousePlanet.com. Welcome, Mike.
Yes, Amadeus himself. Today is his 7th birthday. He's playing his own minuet in G. Isn't it fabulous? And over there's little Louis the 16th with his head still on. Ha 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 ha.
Timekeeper.
And we also have Len Tessa, co-author of the Unofficial Guide to Walt Disney World. Welcome, Len.
Yo, Matt, just keeping it real here in the 336, baby.
Oh, man.
Oh, boy. And on that note, Len, what were your results of your listener challenge regarding that Pirates question in the last episode?
The results are that collectively, as a group, our listeners have way too much time on our hands. That was my conclusion. No, seriously. Apparently, people watched the movie way more closely than I did because it took them about 10 seconds to say, Len, the curse is spelled out in Barbossa's speech on the Black Pearl. And I went back and I had to go into Wikipedia and look, and there it was. Barbossa actually said that the reason why people are cursed is it's whoever takes the gold from the chest. So about 300 people pointed that out to me. Here's my problem with that. I mean, okay, all right. That's the answer. Okay, that's the answer.
I'm waiting to hear this.
So between now and Friday, I'll draw a name at random from among everybody that sent in the right answer, and we'll award the CD. Here's the thing: is that if the curse is focused solely on the person who first steals the gold, and not like Elizabeth who steals the gold later on from Will, that seems to me to be an unnecessarily narrow definition of stealing. Now, I know the Aztecs were known for a lot of things, science, mathematics. Apparently, they were known for the loophole as well, too, because they had to get the lawyers to do this. Now, I'm not familiar with the ancient Aztec language, as I'm sure you are, Matt. I am sure somewhere in that curse, instead of saying mortals, which is what Barbossa says it is, the curse really applies to the party of the first part. Because, again, only lawyers could have come up with a curse so narrowly defined. And you know the other problem I have with that is, and I'll be done here in a second, is the monkey is cursed. Now, I know that the movie's all about skeletons, and we're taking a lot of things. You know, there's a certain suspension of disbelief when you watch the movie, right? You've got to believe in ghost stories, and you've got to believe in a bunch of improbable things. But to me, the monkey never really exhibits free will.
Oh, Len.
It's a monkey. Does the monkey actually understand the Aztec curse when it takes the gold? And if so, aren't the Aztecs smart enough to say, well, the monkey doesn't really know what he's doing, the monkey gets a pass? It was troubling. Anyway, people wrote in like 20 minutes to tell me I was wrong and why. I appreciate all of those that, anyway. Blah, blah, blah. Drawing later on, and on with the show.
Well, for anyone who's still on listening to this podcast, has turned it off by now.
You know, as Kierkegaard once said. No, just be good.
Who?
Kierkegaard.
It's Wednesday, so we're answering listener questions, not Len's. And our first is from Kevin Crossman of Fremont, California, who also has his own podcast called FratPackPodcast.com. Kevin's question is, hi guys, love the podcast. My wife and I honeymooned at Walt Disney World in mid to late November 1995, departed just before Thanksgiving, and we stayed at the Wilderness Lodge. We were going to take our kids to Walt Disney World in the fall of 2007. Kids will be 9 and 5.5 by then. 2 questions. Do you recommend a time to go? We loved November timeframe from a crowd and weather perspective, as well as a gradual change in the Christmas decor when we went in 95. We'd like to go when crowds are as low as possible, but my wife is a teacher, so the end of August and beginning of September are kind of out of the question since that's when classroom rules are set.
I like November. What's wrong with November?
Not much. You're talking about before Thanksgiving?
Yeah, I think like the week before Thanksgiving might not be bad.
That's when he went last time, so I don't think he could go wrong with doing that again.
But I'd go Wednesday
Actually,
to Wednesday.
2 weeks. I'd go the week before that. Actually, like the week of the 12th, November 12th.
Yeah.
Alternatively, when do they get out of school? If they get out of school like second week of December, like so around the 14th ish. I guess we can't tell the teacher to skip school, can we? That would be wrong. Wrong.
I've been trying for 14 years now
To tell your teacher to skip school?
to tell my wife to skip school.
It doesn't. You ain't getting no smarter.
That's why I'm there in August and February with everybody else.
Kevin's other question is where he wants to know where to stay. We're looking for a well-themed resort, especially around the rooms, lobby, and restaurants, and not so much for the pools and grounds. Are there any mid or economy resorts with adequate theming and good transportation options for our needs?
Really, nothing says theming like Disney Pop Century Resort. It's been like 100 shows since we've said that. Okay, so theming. Do any of the values have good theming?
I think of the best, I would say Scopa Towers has got to have the best
it's got to be
one.
Scopa Towers. Yeah, I would think.
Yeah.
In the moderates, I like Caribbean Beach Resort
Caribbean, I was going to say, too.
or French Quarter.
French Quarter, I don't think the lobby and the restaurants are good theming, and the transportation needs help over there. if you
Yeah,
ask
I mean,
me.
if it was the Caribbean Beach Resort, you'd have to have people selling you offering to braid your hair, which I think they do, right?
I think so. I think
think-
French
yeah, you
Quarter
know,
would be
yeah.
good. If they didn't have any kids, I'd say French Quarter. But
I just don't love the food at French Quarter.
Yeah, can't agree with you right there.
So Caribbean Beach.
Yep. John from Minnesota writes, "Hi guys, just got back from a trip to Walt Disney World, and I thought I'd pass on my thoughts about my trip. First of all, the Disney's Magical Express cast members do not seem to be well informed about the upcoming name change of the Pop Century to Scopa Towers because they looked confused when I told them that my reservation was at Scopa Towers. So I had to say, the former Pop Century Resort."
The resort formerly known as the...
give us a couple of months, John. Give us a couple of months.
We're working on
Exactly.
it.
Still working on that.
Speaking of Scopa Towers, the bus service was good. I did not have to wait a long time for the bus to arrive. It was funny, though. How could you tell which park had extra magic hours because that queue was packed while the others were completely empty? I only tried extra magic hours once, and that was evening extra magic hours at the Magic Kingdom. I found it interesting that Adventureland and Frontierland did not seem too crowded, but Fantasyland and Tomorrowland were packed during evening extra magic hours.
Oh, yeah.
Adventureland was probably quiet due to Pirates of the Caribbean being closed. Anyway, I really enjoyed my stay at Scopa Towers, and we'll be staying there again in December during Mousefest. Maybe by then the official name change will have taken place.
Hope so.
Yeah, that extra magic hour crowd was also apparent when I was there. You get the headliner attractions, you've got the mountains, and you've got Fantasyland, and it's not that much in Adventureland except for the Pirates. So most of the crowd is they're heading towards the right side of the theme park, and into Splash and Big Thunder.
Our next electronic mail communique comes from JT of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, who writes, "Hey guys, I found episode 108 on the urban theme park planning really interesting. I'm an alumni of the college Disney program, and a former coworker of mine who also worked with the Disney Institute introduced me to a lot of the things that Disney does in a way that, in terms of laying out the parks. He wants to know 2 quick questions. Curious about everyone's thoughts on Coronado Springs Resort." Let's start there first. A lot of questions about Coronado Springs, Len.
I like it. I like Coronado Springs. The rooms tested really well in our most recent evaluation. I like the food court. I know a lot of people think can take it or leave it. I think the Maya Grill is just adequate. It's when it's packed with conventioneers, obviously the dining is not sufficient because if you've got 3,000 people there, the one little food court's not gonna.
That's why I don't like it. It has a
how often
convention.
does it? I mean, maybe it's just me that I'm up at 6 o'clock every morning and I miss all the drunken revelry of the conventions, but because those salesmen can get kind of crazy. I never see it. I mean, and I'm never there for dinner, so maybe that's it.
I've been there several times, and every single time I'm there, if I'm a guest or if I'm going over there for a meal or just to check it out, it seems like I'm always seeing people in business suits and conventioneers, and it's crowded. And one of the reasons why it's my least favorite of the moderates.
Really?
I
I'll place it number 2.
like Coronado. I think it's a tie between Coronado and what's it called?
Caribbean Beach.
No,
French Quarter?
French Quarter. I was gonna say French Quarter. I think that if you look at the minuses, being bus transportation at French Quarter as well as their food court, and the minuses of Coronado Springs being the large size of the resort and its food court. I think that I'd rather have the minuses of French Quarter, because at least at French Quarter, the bad food court, you're only competing with a small amount of people.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
that's what I go for.
Well, one good thing Coronado has, and it does have a nice gym over there.
And they have room service.
The room service. Do they deliver Wonka bars? Or?
Not quite.
Did you get my my last
Yes.
cell phone image? So
Yeah.
one of our listeners got me 8 Wonka bars
Sweet.
last week, and so I was photographing them and sending the images to Hotchberg. And as I was doing it, I was including little audio along with, because you can do that with cell phones. And I was going, Wonka bars. And then he would text back something that we can't really say to maintain our clean rating on iTunes. But anyway, the second word was you, but the first word was not thank. Anyway,
JT also wants to know thoughts about Fulton's Crab House in downtown Disney. I wasn't sure if the unofficial guide did reader surveys for Fulton's. Love the podcast.
yep, it does. Current 2007 edition, 73% thumbs up, 27% thumbs down. We give it a 2.5-star rating. Quality's 3.5 stars. Value's 2 stars. The issue that we see is that there's usually a long wait for dinner, and that it's the prices are kind of high.
Great. Our next email is from John Brown of Etna, Maine, who writes, "My question is, I'm planning a trip with my in-laws who are Walt Disney World neophytes, and while the detailed planning is on my shoulders, which is fine with me, I'm looking for a way to prepare them somewhat for the trip and what to expect at Disney. I'm more concerned with familiarizing them with the attractions, shows, restaurants, resorts, etc., so that they'll know what they want to see and what to do while they're there. I'm hoping that this will make my planning easier and will help keep things on track while we were there. I'm using the unofficial guide extensively in my research and planning, but by nature, it's not really the best medium for giving them a feel for the different attractions without overwhelming them with the nuts and bolts info they don't want. The official free planning DVD is a bit annoying and honestly doesn't show much of the parks. The best thing I found so far is the A&E Modern Marvels episode on Walt Disney World, but that still doesn't give as much of a look at the actual experience in the park as I'd like to see. Do you have any advice on DVDs, books, etc. that I could use to familiarize them with the parks and resorts?"
I believe they are selling a. Well, I think you have to be there to pick one up, but I think it's a 4-piece DVD set on each one of the theme parks.
Yeah, those aren't bad actually. I was going to say the exact same thing.
But I don't know if you can. I don't know if you could order them online. MainStreetMegastore.com might have something like that.
Because you remember they used to do DVDs, right? A day in Epcot, a day in the Magic Kingdom, and I'm
Right.
sure you can still find those on eBay, but they're probably more than the new DVDs are cost, and they're probably show out there the attractions and stuff.
Yeah.
But I would do that.
Like Noel?
In fact, let's do a quick eBay search. We might have to come back to this question.
I've got
because
mine on eBay.
It's a Disney Park DVDs.
Just put in Epcot DVD, and you'll get the Epcot one.
Well, you're gonna get home movies there too, right?
Yeah, but the official releases are there too.
Well, eBay might be the best way to go then.
eBay is
so.
your friend.
Well, as exciting as searching eBay is on our podcast,
Woo!
and
That's
to,
awesome. We're gonna have to cut out some of that.
let's move on to our next email from Mary Morgan Groudon of Mandeville, Louisiana, who writes,
There's a lot
"Hey
of M's
y'all,
there. Yeah.
Yep.
Hey.
Love your podcast. My family and I are heading to Orlando soon, and I
Ooh,
want
they
to
should
know
go to Disney World when they're there.
and I want to know where in the parks I can find adult-sized Marie the Kitten shirts. It's something I've been long interested in. Please see my name for why. But our local Disney store and even online only have kid sizes. Can you help?"
Marie.
The Kitten. Yeah. Am I the only one who's never heard of this before this email?
Is
I've
it
never-
one of the Aristocats?
She's an Aristocat.
Is it really?
Yes.
Now, did the Aristocrats
Cats.
film take place? Did that take place in the United States, or was that a United Kingdom film?
That's a good
I
question.
don't know.
Because I was going to suggest.
Yeah, but they're not going to
United
have it in the
Kingdom.
UK. You think in the UK?
No, in the UK Pavilion.
You think?
I don't know.
That's a stretch, man. If we can't name the character, that's a stretch.
I don't recall seeing it in the Emporium or in Mouse Gear or in.
I mean, my
Any of
guess is
those.
it'd be in the studios or in the Magic Kingdom.
I haven't seen any of the studios. I've never even seen any of this stuff. Of course, I don't even know who the character is.
I've never seen the Aristocats. Who is this Disney person we're talking about?
Walt who?
Yeah.
Great. I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, if it's gonna be anywhere, it's gonna be, yeah, I think studios or Magic Kingdom. But here's the thing: since we talked about eBay a second ago, there's actually, and I don't remember her name, but there's someone on eBay who will actually do custom shopping for you. If you send, and I apologize, we'll have to put it in the show notes. If you key in like Walt Disney World gift basket or whatever, you'll find this lady. She'll do the shopping for you. You can email her and see if she's seen it because
I know
she's
who
in
you're
the parks.
talking about. Yeah, I've heard of her one.
Yeah, she does like gift baskets of like Pirates of the Caribbean themed gift baskets. That's the person to email. So Matt, let's see if we can, when the show's over, let's see if we can get this lady's email address and hook our listener up.
What about
I
calling
hate to
it?
say this, but I found it on eBay.
Did you really?
Well, it's for a little kid though, I think. Yeah.
What about merchandising? Can you call the merchandising number?
You could. I'll put the link in the show note, the number in the show notes rather, and you can call that number up. Although, of course, it's dependent on if there is anything available, which is, I think, the bigger question. I don't think there is, but
I don't know. I doubt it, but okay.
our next email is from Jim in Lexington, Kentucky, who writes, Dear guys, ever since my daughter gave me an iPod for Christmas, your show has been my favorite source for Walt Disney World trip information.
Awesome.
We just got back from 10 days at Disney, my wife, 20-year-old daughter. None of you ever have anything good to say about the bus system. While we sometimes use the car if there is a time crunch or the connections are not right, my family has come to view the buses as part of a resort experience. On our very first visit, my son was less than 2, and the bus system was his favorite quote-unquote ride. After 15 hours in the car on I-75, it's nice to leave the keys in the room. Riding the bus to the parks gives the opportunity to interact with guests, chatting about past experiences, sharing tips, sharing excitement, etc. Best of all, the kids on their first visit to the Magic Kingdom love the bus. This year, the girls were all done up from their bibbidi-bobbidi boutique and in full Cinderella regalia. Riding the bus gives you the opportunity to practice the lost art of good manners as well.
I mean, I don't think we're down so much on the bus system. I mean, it's certainly as efficient as any bus system can be. And for the Magic Kingdom, it works better than anything else. But strictly looking at the time it takes in terms of transportation, you're always faster. It's always better to use your car to go to the other 3 parks, ignoring all the benefits like, global warming and, all the side effects of like global warming of driving your own car and everything.
Right. I always take the bus. I think it's I mean, that's what you're paying for by staying on Disney Resort. So I like the convenience of it. And with DME now, I just take the bus. I don't see a real need for a car unless I'm planning on going off property. So I'm with you, Jim.
Yeah, you could do it.
The chariot of the people forever.
The chariot of the people. The people's wheels. Nice.
Got that off my communist newsletter of the month.
Yeah, I was going to say, is it May already, comrade?
And our last email this show is from Eric from Gainesville, Florida, who writes, I'm listening to live show number 2 right now and heard a comment about going to a single-finger biometric system to speed up entry. I was at the Magic Kingdom on this past Saturday, which was probably about 2 years ago now, and at least some of the turnstiles have changed to an index finger scan. It's much quicker to get through these turnstiles than the older 2-finger method. Love the show. Keep up the good work. Len, I think I just read on your site lately that the studios have switched over to the 1-finger system.
Yeah, I believe so. It's definitely going to be much more efficient, and I imagine the Animal Kingdom will be next. It's and the good thing is it's only with the 1 finger, it's very user friendly. It's definitely going to speed up the lines. I think Disney is doing this because of all the feedback they got on the 2-finger biometric.
Well,
Did you say it was the index finger you're placing there?
No, just you put your pointing finger. But here's the funny thing. Yeah, the finger aspect of the turnstiles may have been improved, but people are still having a problem putting their admission ticket in. They can't find that slot, and they need to do something with that. I think that's the big hold up now. People are sticking it everywhere, but in the right spot, especially if people going there for the first time. I noticed that a couple weeks ago.
Great. Well, that's it for us today. If you want to find older episodes, read our show notes, or send us your comments, visit the Walt Disney World Today website at wdwtoday.com. can also email us at questions@www.today.com. For Len Testa, Mike Zumba, and Mike Gould, I'm Matt Hochberg. We'll see you on the next show.